Iran's supreme leader rejected President Trump's appeal to restart negotiations over its nuclear program, which could set the stage for U.S. military action to stop Iran's weapons development program. And a new UN report, which ignores October 7th, accuses Israel of sexual violence against women during the war against Hamas in Gaza. Here's the latest on these stories and more. On Wednesday, Ayatollah Khamenei dismissed President Trump's letter delivered by the UAE.
I think this is an attempt to deceive global public opinion. This means America wants to talk, make peace, and stop fighting. But Iran is not ready to negotiate.
President Trump has said there are two ways Iran can be handled: militarily or you make a deal. Earlier this month, Israel and the U.S. held a joint military exercise, including a B-52 bomber, which is seen as a clear message to Iran. In the Oval Office Wednesday, President Trump told reporters no one's expelling anyone from Gaza. His initial proposal including the relocation of all the residents of Gaza so the U.S. could take over and rebuild the territory. Research suggests many Gazans actually want to leave the devastated territories and relocate to countries where they can live in peace. Egypt's opposition to relocating Gazans reportedly causing a rift in its relations with the U.S. The administration notified Cairo it will reduce military aid in 2026. Trump has hinted he'd cut off aid if Egypt did not agree to accept Gazans fleeing the war zone. Egypt receives more than $2 billion in annual aid, most of that in military assistance. On its northern border, Israel is carrying out military strikes inside Syria to eliminate a military threat from the new government. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz warned Syria's new leader that it's prepared to hold key positions in Syria for an indefinite time.
Every morning when al-Jilani opens his eyes in the presidential palace in Damascus, he will see the IDF watching him from the heights of Mount Hermon and will remember that we are here and in all the security areas in southern Syria to protect the residents of the Golan and the Galilee from any threat from him and his jihadist friends.
Katz also pledged to defend the Druze community inside Syria and said they would be allowed to enter the Golan Heights for work. Katz's pledge to the Druze comes in the context of a massacre of Alawites, a minority Islamic sect, and Christians by Islamist groups inside Syria. In a rare diplomatic development, 100 senior figures from Syria's Druze community are set to visit the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights on Friday. The UN Human Rights Council report alleges Israel systematically destroyed women's healthcare facilities during the war against Hamas in Gaza and uses sexual violence as a war strategy.
Sexual and gender-based violence is increasingly used as a method of war by Israel to destabilize, dominate, oppress and destroy the Palestinian people. The Commission documented a pattern of sexual violence, including cases of rape and other forms of sexual violence, torture and other inhumane acts that amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity.
We've seen an unbelievable blood label.
Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar blasted the report.
The so-called Commission of Inquiry of the Human Rights Council of the United Nations published one of the worst blood labels the world has ever seen, and we had seen many. It accuses the victims of the crimes committed against them. Hamas is the organization that has committed horrific sexual crimes against Israelis on October 7. It is indeed a sick publication that only an anti-Semitic organization could produce.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, some women's groups, and Israel's mission to the UN rejected the report as unfounded and anti-Semitic. On X, U.S. Ambassador-designate to the UN, Elise Stefanik, said the report ignores October 7th. The so-called Human Rights Council has failed to condemn the barbaric atrocities committed by Hamas terrorists against Israel, including the brutal slaughter, torture, kidnapping of thousands of innocent civilians, and Hamas's horrific use of rape and sexual violence against Israeli women and girls, yet disgracefully attacks Israel with unfounded smears. Concerning the hostage talks, Hamas announced they will release U.S.-Israeli hostage Edan Alexander, the last living American hostage in captivity, and the bodies of 4 dual nationals. The announcement comes as U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is in Qatar and presented a new proposal. It would extend the ceasefire by several weeks. In return, Hamas would release 5 living hostages and 10 dead hostages. The UN report against Israel comes at a key moment, as Israelis and Jews around the world today celebrate Purim, when many dress up in costumes to mark the holiday. It celebrates the time 2,500 years ago when Haman, a wicked ruler in Persia, which is now modern Iran, plotted to destroy the Jewish people. As recorded in the book of Esther, God raised up a beautiful Jewish queen named Esther to expose and stop those plans. Now, centuries later, Israelis say they again face wicked rulers in Iran who want to destroy Israel and the Jewish people. Today, many Jews and Christians around the world believe God will thwart the plans of today's wicked rulers, just like he did 2,500 years ago.